Hello everyone. Our report is all about the project life cycle or phases. I'm April Joy J. Gallego, and together with me is Miss Clarice Alar. The project management life cycle or phases is usually broken down into four phases. The initiation phase and planning phase that I will be discussed, and the execution and closure phase that will be discussed by Miss Clarice Alar. Though some methodologies include the fifth phase, which is the controlling or monitoring phase, but sa atong book, this is covered under the execution and closure phase. These phases make up the path that takes your project from the beginning to the end. Meaning, kaning upat ka phases is like a steps to follow to keep our project organized and on track from the initiation to close. Actually, these phases or this cycle is a high level process para ma-successful ang project nga himuon. Makatabang pud ni para dili ma-waste ang money and resources in making the projects and can avoid communication breakdown and the unsuccessful of the project. With these phases, we can also come up with the idea for our project, define sa mga goals, then the plan for its execution, and a guide to the completion of the project. The first phase is the initiation phase. In this phase, the project objectives are identified. Could be a business problem or opportunity. Meaning, first we had to identify a business need, problem, or opportunity so that we can brainstorm, solve the problem, and seize the opportunity. As I mentioned earlier, in this phase, we can figure out the objective of the project and also determine whether the project is feasible, and we can identify the major deliverables for the project. To acquire all of that, there are steps for it to be complete. So, project management steps for the initiation phase. The first step is undertaking a feasibility study. With this, we can identify the primary problem the project will solve and whether the project will deliver a solution to that problem, as we are assessing a proposed plan or method in this step. The second step is identifying scope, where we can define already the depth and breadth of the project. In this step, we are like collecting ingredients and recipe in making a menu. Without it, we can't able to determine the project goals and can't identify the deliverables, which is the next step, where we can define the product or service to provide. The next to that is identifying project stakeholders. With this, we able to figure out whom the project will affect and what their needs may be. Then the fifth one is developing a business case. In this step, we should use the above criteria to compare the potential cost and benefits for the project to determine if it moves forward. Then the last step is developing a statement of work. where we document the project's objectives, scope, and deliverables that we had identified. So, once the recommended solution is approved, a project is initiated already to deliver the approved solution. Then a project manager is appointed to manage the project. Then the major deliverables and participating work group are identified, and then so the project team begins to take shape. Then an approval is then sought by the project manager to move on to the next phase, which is the planning phase. This is the second phase. In this phase is where the project solution is further developed in as much detail as possible and the steps necessary to meet the project's objective are planned. Meaning in this phase, the larger project will be converted into smaller project. The tasks will be smaller as the involved workers will build a team and schedule for completion of assignments will be prepared, or rather planned. This is also referred to as scope management, where the project plan is created to outline the activities, tasks, dependencies, and timeframes of each task. In this phase, there are steps for it to be well prepared. So, the first step is creating a project plan. In this, we have to identify the project timeline, including the phases of the project, the tasks to be performed, and the possible constraints or the project's limitation or restrictions. Then the second step is creating workflow diagrams. So that team members will clearly understand their role in the project. Then the third step is estimating budget and creating financial plan. In this, we have to use cost estimates to determine how much to spend on the project to get the maximum return on the investment. This will also help to avoid the waste money and resources in making the project. Then the fourth step is gathering resources. In this, we should ensure to build functional team from external to internal talent pools on your team members, and making sure everyone has the necessary tools to complete the task. Then the fifth is anticipating risk and potential quality roadblocks, meaning we should first identify issues that may cause the project to stall while planning to mitigate those risks and maintain the quality of the project and the timeline. Lastly is holding a project kick-off meeting. In this step, we should bring the team on board to discuss the detailed project so that the members will be able to get to work quickly and mahumandayon ang ilang mga tasks. So, once the project team has identified the task or work and prepared the schedule o ang estimated cost, the three fundamental components of planning is complete. So this is the excellent time to identify and try to deal with anything that might pose a threat to the successful completion of the project. This is called the risk management. In this, the high threat potential problems are identified along with the action or solutions for each high threat. This solution may be either to reduce the probability that the problem will occur or to reduce the impact on the project if it does occur. And also, this will be also a good time to identify the project stakeholders and establish a communication plan describing the information needed and the delivery method to be used to keep the stakeholders informed. And then finally, you will want to document a quality plan providing quality targets, assurance, and control measures, along with an acceptance plan, the listing of the criteria to be met to gain customer acceptance. So at this point, the project would have been planned in detail and is ready to be executed. Then this phase will be discussed by Miss Clarice Alar.
So now let's proceed to the implementation or the execution phase. The execution phase is the third phase of the project management life cycle. It is the phase in the project life cycle that when the work is performed and everything in the project plan must be put into action. Dili lang ta magsigig plano-plano, kundi buhaton sa dugon sa plano. And this phase is important. Why? Because planning for risk in every project is crucial. Importante jud siya kaayo. Enable for us to come up in the perfect outcome. So to put it simple, having a project execution plan can help you or us in the assigned tasks provided, and also sa responsibilities to set clear expectation and on how we deliver, and it also give us a way to correct any issues or problem that we are facing. So unsa ka importante ang communicate or communication sa execution phase? Communicate or communication is very important here because having a productive communication tool will prevent confusion as well as conflict pod from bugging our project. It can help the members aligned and focus with the project goals and what is expected of them in having effective communication in place. And through communication, we can build a progress. And progress, diya na siya makataba nga kanang ma-achieve nimo ang goals nga nga imong gusto makabot. So we'll proceed to the closing phase. The purpose of this closing phase in the life cycle is to confirm completion of the project deliverables to the satisfaction of the project sponsor, as well as to communicate final project disposition and the status to all participants, as well as the stakeholders. So once your team completed the work in a project, you will be able to enter the closure phase. In this phase, you will going to provide final deliverables and then release the project resources and determine the success of the project. So, after everything, na okay na to tanan, diri nga stage dapat na finalize and formally transferred, and all documentation is signed off, approved, and archived. Just like with sa programs or meetings, muagisad mo sa closing remarks to be able to recognize that nga ang programs and meeting is already done. That will be all. Thank you for listening. God bless.